He admitted fault, he apologized, and it still wasn't enough. For months, the pressure didn't stop. And when he finally returned, it wasn't with a speech. It was with a hand on his shoulder. This is Suga. Grace Under Fire. On the 21st of June 2025, Suga completed 21 months of public social service. No live stream, no broadcast, just a date on a calendar. 2 days later, the first headline tied to his name wasn't controversy. It was a 5 billion won donation, the opening of the Min Yoongi Treatment Center at Severance Hospital. Still photos, no live appearance. And then, on the 1st of July, OT7. That was the moment it felt real. There are returns that are loud. And then there are returns that are steady, shaped by history, pressure, and the kind of grace that doesn't need to announce itself. When Suga completed his social service on the 21st of June 2025, the headlines were ready. But ARMY weren't waiting for headlines. We were waiting for him. Because Suga's return wasn't just about discharge. It was about a longer road, a different kind of service, and a year that tested more than his public image. Before debuting with BTS in 2013, Suga suffered a serious shoulder injury as a trainee. That injury didn't disappear with success. It followed him. Years later, in Amygdala, he recreated fragments of his past, including the scooter accident that caused that injury. Not for spectacle, but to process it. The amygdala is the part of the brain that stores emotional memory, trauma, fear, survival. He has never hidden from pain. He has written about it, recreated it, faced it directly. When enlistment came, that same long-standing injury meant he was deemed unfit for active duty military service. Instead, he served 21 months in public social service, longer than the 18-month active duty terms of the other 6 BTS members. He didn't take an easier path. He took a different one. And he carried it quietly. Beginning in December 2022, the other 6 BTS members enlisted in staggered waves. When they were discharged, we saw them that same day. But on the 21st of June 2025, when Suga completed his service, there was no live stream. The other 6 BTS members had come home to us that same day. This time, there was only a gap. And we waited. And waited. 2 days after discharge, the first official news tied to Suga wasn't controversy. It was the opening of the Min Yoongi Treatment Center at Severance Hospital. A 5 billion Korean won donation. The largest celebrity contribution in the hospital's history. The center supports children and adolescents with autism spectrum disorder through the MIND program, music, interaction, network, diversity. Music-based therapy, emotional expression, social communication. We saw still photos, not live footage. So while technically this was the first update, emotionally we were still waiting. In August 2024, news broke that Suga had been involved in a DUI incident involving an electric scooter. But here's what happened first. The first confirmation came directly from him. He admitted fault. He apologized. There was no denial phase. No rewriting of events. No attempt to shift blame. He took responsibility. And yet, the pressure didn't subside. Media scrutiny intensified. Additional apologies were issued. Eventually, a photographed appearance outside a police station, an image that circulated widely, followed. Accountability had been given, but spectacle was demanded. I won't break down every detail here. I'll link "He Never Lied" from Veracity magazine for a full timeline. Because what matters here isn't relitigating the incident. It's understanding what came after. After the incident, a coordinated anti-campaign emerged. There were organized efforts pressuring people to demand his removal from BTS. Funeral wreaths were delivered daily outside the Hybe building in Seoul. It went on for months. But ARMY were not passive. We fact-checked relentlessly. Thousands of articles were scrutinized, daily. Misinformation was corrected in real time. Advertisers were contacted. Corrections were demanded, not through chaos, through volume, through organization, Through persistence, army are numerous. And when necessary, we are disciplined. It wasn't just a return. It was the end of a long standoff. Then came the 1st of July 2025. OT7, live. And that's when it felt real. RM sat directly behind Suga. Not just a fleeting gesture. Throughout the livestream, RM's hand returned to Suga's shoulder, again and again. Consistent, visible, intentional. It felt steady, like a quiet message. You're not alone. I've got your back. And ARMY saw it immediately. In 2016, Suga faced the shadows directly. Not with shouting, not with fear, but with control. In Fire, he meets a hooded figure. Calm, deliberate. ARMY have long interpreted those figures as symbolic. Doubt, criticism, faceless hate. He doesn't argue. He doesn't plead. He presses play. And the screen reads, "Burn it." He chooses the response. He controls the moment. Years later, the shadows didn't wear hoods anymore. They had lenses, flashes, headlines. In shadow, he stands surrounded, phones raised, cameras closing in, light exploding from every direction. The chaos feels suffocating, the noise feels endless, and the metaphor doesn't feel so abstract anymore. He made a mistake. That's not in dispute. Accountability matters. But spectacle is something else. There is a difference between consequence and consumption. In South Korea, we have seen what overwhelming scrutiny can do. Careers halted, lives shaken, some never fully recovering. And yet, he did not rage. He did not deflect. He did not weaponize fans. He stayed quiet. At the airport, that silence wasn't weakness. Cameras flashing, questions shouted. Suga walked forward without engaging. No theatrics. Just composure. Some outlets framed it as cold. But many online saw something else. Boundaries. A refusal to turn reflection into performance. A refusal to let frenzy dictate dignity. At the end of Fire, he steps forward, looks directly into the camera, and says, "I'll forgive you." Forgiveness, in that moment, was his to give. Years later, he didn't need to say anything at all. The shadows were loud, but he did not become them. And the world kept watching. During his 28-day D-Day tour, Suga developed a nightly ritual. Taking ARMY phones, filming himself singing into them, night after night, and one evening, when handed an iPhone, he laughed. No iPhone, only Galaxy. Playful, but clear, he was a dedicated ambassador. When the first Samsung ad dropped, it felt like a signal. Portugal, Latin America, North America, Europe, across Asia, the campaign didn't shrink, it expanded. And now, his image is playing in Gwanghwamun Square in Seoul. The same city where headlines once echoed louder than facts. But this time, the narrative isn't written in print. It's written in light. And here's the part that makes this bigger than a brand campaign. In that same Gwanghwamun Square in Seoul, where kings used to walk, BTS are returning. Their comeback stage, broadcast live on Netflix, to a global audience, the world watching. So while his face towers above the skyline in a Samsung campaign, he'll also be standing on stage with his 6 members beside him. OT7, not hidden, not sidelined, not erased. Global continuity. That's what this is. The fire didn't end the story. It illuminated it. And now the city that once amplified criticism is amplifying something else. Their return, his presence, their legacy. That isn't revenge. That's restoration. That's grace under fire. Thanks for watching today's video. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.
Oh, these are just perfect. I can't wait to try them out. Thanks for the help.